I think the more important role for the parade is that it gives those men an opportunity to see that they have not been forgotten. And that's what's truly important, is that we honor their service. I've been involved with the parade, usually as someone who marches, but on occasion helping to organize the divisions and getting people in their proper place for 21 years, if you include 2014's parade, which I hope to participate in. So I got started in 1993. Well, this is actually sort of an interesting story. Most people think that the Veterans Parade is only for veterans, and I am not a veteran. But I'd like to honor those men who were veterans by participating in the parade in really any way that I can. And that started out in 1993 at a request by Kathy Rehart, who passed away recently, a local historian. She was then working for the Fresno Historical Society, and she asked me to participate as a Civil War soldier. It goes far beyond just being important to the city of Fresno and the people that are here who get to come and participate or to watch the parade, because it's an enormous event in terms of the nationwide scale involved. Literally tens of thousands of people participate in some way or another. It's almost always on the national news as being one of the largest Veterans Day parades in the country. And it's in a long tradition of having parades to celebrate some aspect of the United States. I'm hoping that younger generations will take the opportunity to meet those men and meet those not just in World War II and Korean War as they're in their final years of life. Most of those men are now in their late 80s and their 90s, but to shake hands with men who served in Vietnam and those in the future who served in the Gulf War and in Afghanistan and Iraq. People can see that the veterans take pride in their service. People who haven't had a chance to serve yet because they're young can look up to their elders and see that these are the men and women who contributed to making the country worth living in today. And those like myself who didn't serve can shake hands with those men who did and say thank you for your service in a very sincere way.
I began working with the veterans back in 2002, and I got roped into helping out with the parade, and the veterans have been one of my passions to help, to work with, to talk to. I love being around them, and helping out with the parade is one of the highlights. I've been working with the veterans for many years. They've been a highly respected group and group of friends of mine now. And this is one of the ways that myself as a civilian gets to honor all the veterans for their sacrifices. They served, and my duty now is to honor them, recognize them, and make them known. I get to hear all the stories of what they went through, of what they're still going through. It's a forever commitment for them. It's not just a 1, 2, 4, 6-year commitment. It's a life commitment, and it's life-changing. They love watching the parade. There have been many Vietnam veterans in particular that I've heard stories of where they've never spoken about their experiences before, and family members have come and told me that they're wanting to get into the parade. They want to be involved. They want to get connected to other veterans. That for me makes it all worth it. I feel a sense of unity. I feel a sense of community. It always feels more patriotic after the parade. I love driving around town and seeing all the flags waving and seeing everybody walking up and shaking a veteran's hand. That day feels electrified. It feels supercharged in patriotism.
I served in the United States Air Force from January of 1955 to September of 1959. So I belong to the Fresno County Democratic Women's Club, and in that capacity I am their director or the chairman for the Veterans Day Parade. So I coordinate the parade for the club. And then there's another aspect too, is that we have people in our club that's relatives, brothers, got killed in World War II. And they're taking part in our parade, and so it gives them something that they can hang on to and recognize and remember that person for what they were. Fresno's a small town in a lot of ways. It's growing, it's large, but it still has that small town atmosphere and in that close family atmosphere. It's across ethnic, social lines, ethnic lines, everything. And that's what it does, and it brings people down, and all you have to do is look and go down that street during the parade and see all of the people there, and it doesn't matter what their background is. They're there, they're enjoying it, they're recognizing it, and they're recognizing their veterans, which pulls them together. And I see the people and everything, and you see how the crowd and the fun that they're having, and the somberness of some of them when they recognize something particularly poignant. Like we had a photograph of some of the deceased veterans that were killed in action, and people were pointing out to their children the person on that photograph. And so it's a poignancy that you see, and there's a warmth there, there's some excitement there, and it makes you proud of your military. The United States is not a country that has really paid a tremendous amount of attention to its military over the centuries, except when we need them. And then when we need them, we do recognize them, and we're very proud of them.
I remember the very first parade that I participated in, and it took a lot of prodding for me to do that, to see that actually that people were happy to see us and were actually welcoming us home, which we didn't receive when I did come home the first time. Basically, when I first came home from Vietnam, there was no acknowledgement of anything, and it's my way of conveying to all of our other veterans, especially the young ones, that we do believe in what they're doing, fighting for our country. Because once the veterans come back, especially the gentlemen and ladies that are in combat itself, it's a tough transition. It's a transition from pure adrenaline to coming back to taking care of everything that you're doing in life, and sometimes it's not that easy. It's the largest parade this size of the Mississippi. I mean, we're big in the state of California too. I think we're one of the biggest ones that we have. I mean, the parade goes for about 3.5 hours long. That's a lot of participants, and if I'm not mistaken, Alfred could probably convey to this more, but I think we had something like 30,000 people that showed up to appreciate all the veterans and everything else, and at least 6,000 or 7,000. I'd like to thank the community and the organizers of the parade, because this is showing all of our veterans that what they do and their sacrifices that they gave are appreciated.
Oh, I think it's important for people to kind of show their respect and pay homage to the veterans for what they've done. A lot of them have had their lives messed up, you know, for the rest of their lives. And I'm sure for a lot of them, they feel good being honored somewhat, sort of pay back for what they've been through. I like to see it. I like to see the military hardware and the young guys that have picked up the job after I retired. And so it's fun. I like to watch it. More military posts, veterans posts, the National Guard, reservists, bringing some of their equipment out, some that they can, and let people see what our guys are doing and the equipment they're using to do it.
I'm retired from the Navy with 28 years continuous service in World War II, Korea, Vietnam, and the Cold War. I was chosen last year's parade, which honored the Merchant Marine, to be Grand Marshal. I served 2 years in the Merchant Marine during the Vietnam War. Most military people that I've spoken to look forward to it either as spectators or participants. And we're already talking about next year's parade, what vehicles will be in the parade and where and who will ride on them and so forth. They see the people in the parade and the different floats, and they remember that veterans are an important segment of the community.
I served in the Army Air Force, which later transferred to strictly Air Force. I went in October 1, 1943. I was out at the end of February in 1985. At a point, people get to run a boring system. They don't have something to excite them. And you watch the people come in there, and next thing you know, they see the parade, they're jumping. They're hollering, you know, they're waving. It creates a little excitement in their bodies. We had kids that liked to be in it. We liked to watch the Boy Scouts participate in them. I'd like to see some of the old timers that was in different services, the variety of hats that showed up. I liked the way the veterans put the parade together. They made a very nice setup. I liked all of the entertainment that they had. They had to go way out of the way to get what they got to go. And I appreciate it myself. My family appreciates it.
I served in the United States Marine Corps for 20 years, from 1978 to, 1978 to 1998. I'm a participant with the Veterans Parade because it exposes or exudes pride in the veterans, and it salutes, I don't think it salutes me, I think it salutes the veterans that came before me, and we can never forget. First of all, it gives me pride in just being there and the pride of service. And secondly, it was more of exposing my family members, especially the young ones, of what I did, because they have no idea. So they get exposed of a little bit of what I did and stuff like that. Is the Veterans Parade important? Absolutely, it is important. The younger generation needs to be exposed to what it took to keep their freedom and keep them going. People are starting to celebrate veterans a little more than they did. Unfortunately, during the Vietnam War, you know, the veterans never got their welcome back. So, yeah, yes, it is healing now, because people are acknowledging that it wasn't the veterans were the issues; it was the politics of the war that was the problem. This plaque was presented to me upon my retirement of the Marine Corps after 20 years. It just depicts my career in the Marine Corps with the medals, and then a picture of the aircraft I was a crew member on, and of course my rank also. So it's a sense of pride also.
I was a water tender 3rd class in Navy. Just as a reminder to the youngsters who haven't been exposed to that period of time when we were all pretty much involved. Probably they gives the veterans a chance to realize that the people appreciated them. We got a lot of applause and support on the trip, and they give them a chance to find out that we're really not two-headed dragons, just ordinary people.
The reason I'm participating with the parade, and I'm also one of the organizers, I've been doing it for over 10 years, and I've been doing it strictly out of family tradition. I started my career back in 1957. I started in the U.S. Navy, and I put in 6 years in the Navy. Then I got out, and I was talked into re-enlisting, coming back, and I came back with the California Air National Guard, 144th unit here in the city of Fresno, and I was with them for 30 years. Total of almost 38 years of military service. And actually a lot of people do not know, but during the Vietnam War, the biggest percentage was, I think, if I recall, 80% of the personnel that actually served were actually volunteers, not draftees. And then of course we have the veterans from the Korean War, which is referred to as the Forgotten War, or it was referred to at the given time as a police action. These people are actually the forgotten, or the ones that are really neglected. So now with the parade that's coming up, I think they're finally getting their thank yous. we get a lot of feedback from the community, which tells us what they think. And being from Fresno, the parade and all the festivities that we endure on that day, it is a thing of pride. Fresno has a lot to be proud of, especially the participants that we have coming from all over, not just here in Fresno, but from out of states and also from all over the state of California. These parades seem to have like a healing to a degree, because it shows to the people in the community what these young men at that given time had to go through. And yet now in their lifetime that they have an experience where they have been rejected, they've been denied a lot of things, they're finally starting to see a little bit of the healing where the people are coming back and actually saying to them, walking up, and it surprises me, welcome home, soldier. And I think to them, the most beautifulest words that you can hear or being expressed from right now is, thank you for your service, welcome home.